Alrighty, so today I'm going to be erasing a fish with a Tombow MONO Plastic Eraser, which I am looking forward to doing much more so than not, as I have never used one of these erasers right here before, and so as such I am curious to find out how well or how badly they will erase the fish that I'm going to be drawing with a Tombow pencil today. In specific, I'm going to be drawing the fish that I'm going to be drawing today and then erasing with a Tombow 8900 pencil from Japan. But without further ado, I do suppose first off I should probably go over the packaging of these erasers right here, as today I'm not just going to be erasing a fish with a Tombow MONO Plastic Eraser, I'm also going to be, well, giving them a full review as well and just letting you guys know how they are as a whole. As said, first off, we need to go over the packaging, though. After go over the packaging, I'm going to go ahead and get the erasers all out. I'm going to go and let you guys know what the erasers look like, what they feel like, what the quality of them is like, and everything like that. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and actually get to drawing a fish. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and erase the fish with one of these erasers right here. And then after that, I'm going to go and give you guys my final thoughts on these erasers and just let you guys know what I think as a whole of them and give them a rating as well. But first off, as said, we got to start with the packaging, which is more simple than not, but does look pretty good as well, in my personal opinion. It is sort of a classic-ish design, if you ask me. At the same time, there's still some modern aspects going on. This is definitely a lot more distinct than not on the shelf, and that's really down to just the colors used on the packaging, in my personal opinion, and also just the fact that we can see the erasers right here and the colors used on the eraser sleeves themselves as well. I'm not going to cover what the eraser sleeves look like quite yet, but the yellow and the clear plastic definitely does do a very good job of kind of calling out to you on the shelf, in my personal opinion. And this packaging is very much just a decent look, if you ask me. At least I certainly do not mind this packaging one bit, to say the least. We can see there is a yellow background up here, and then in black we just get the Tombow logo right there, along with Tombow just being written in a print font right there as well. Just a little bit of a butterfly logo, and then the Tombow text just written in the normal Tombow font as well under that, as previously said. Moving on below the yellow background up here, we go to a white background, and on the white background we get a blue, white, and black strip, although the white really does merge into the other white quite well, and in fact it is actually the same white, but we can tell it's meant to be a just normal, or sorry, not normal, it's supposed to be a different sort of white than these, come words all jumbled up, what was I trying to say? So sort of like a flag design or something like that kind of thing. So it's like blue, white, black, and we can see that right here as well, blue, white, black. So even though the white in the middle right here combines quite well with the white background, it is a color that is on its own, I guess is really the right way of putting it. I'm not sure how to really describe that in all honesty, but to the side of this sort of like flag design, we can see it just says mono right there in very, very, very bold black text, and then under that there's some Japanese text, which I assume just says eraser or something like that kind of thing. Not exactly sure. I forgot to translate what this text says before the video, I will acknowledge. And then under this text right here and under the other yellow background, we can see there's a black line right there, and then under that it just goes to clear plastic, which we can see just the erasers through and whatnot. Just says like two pieces, two erasers right there, from what I can tell at least. And then there's some other Japanese text to the side right here, all in white, with a blue border going all the way around it, or more of a blue background, I'd have to say is really the right way of putting it, because this is kind of like an oval with straight sides. This text up here is all in blue with a white sort of border going all the way around, as we can see. And then we can just see the erasers right here as well. And the very bottom, we just get a blue line and then just a yellow bottom, just like that. And that's pretty much all there is to the front of the packaging. Moving on to the back, we can see a yellow background all the way up here. Then a little bit of a sort of blue, yellow, just kind of color change background right there. Then it just goes to white and then yellow at the bottom once again. Excuse me. And I just had a little bit of a burp. Excuse me. And we can see that the back of the packaging is pretty much just, well, informational. I'm pretty sure it just says Tombow Mono Eraser, something like that kind of thing, right there in black in Japanese. Then it has some more text and some more text and some more text, none of which I know what it says. In all honesty, I don't know what any of that text says. Then we just get the barcode right there. We could just see the product code right here. It's just JSA-261. That's the product code for these erasers. And then we just see how to throw away this packaging in Japanese once again. And then we can just see like all of the like sort of phone numbers and information about Tombow as a brand, just being like, hey, if you have any issues, call this number or like contact us or something like that kind of thing and whatnot. We can see right here, it just says made in Japan in black, which is appreciated. I will admit, I am glad that these were made in Japan. And then it just says 06132 right there. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it does mean something. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, based on the fact that there's a lot of Japanese on this packaging and based on the fact that Tombow is a Japanese brand of stationery, that I bought these erasers in Japan. But no, I actually bought these erasers in Canada at the Pacific Mall, which is an Asian mall. And I bought these on the lowest story right next to the parking deck at a store that was a $2.89 Canadian store. So basically the Canadian equivalent of like 100 yen store, something like that kind of thing. And if I had to guess, at least these erasers are probably the type that would be sold at 100 yen stores in Japan. Although, of course, I'm not Japanese. I have not spent that much time in Japan, so don't quote me on that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this I was about to say, let's go and get this packaging all opened up. But first off, I think I actually want to grab myself a little bit of a screenshot. So let's grab just a little bit of a screenshot, just real quick, just like that, if I possibly can. Hopefully that will do for a screenshot. We will find out after this video. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this packaging all opened up. And let's go ahead and get one of these erasers out and take a look at what the erasers actually look like, what they feel like, what the quality is like. So let's go and just do that, just like that. And let's go ahead and now put the packaging over to the side. And let's go ahead and put the second eraser I have over to the side as well. Let's just go ahead and take a look at these erasers. So these are not like super big erasers by any means. The cardboard sleeve is just that. It is a cardboard sleeve, and we can see there's some cutouts, some divots just right there to help it slide in just a little bit better than not if you want to keep the eraser in its sleeve, but if it keeps falling out or something like that kind of thing. And we can see design-wise, the design on the I wouldn't say cardboard is really the right way of putting it. It's more of a paperboard sort of sleeve for the eraser is just very much that same flag design we saw on the front of the packaging right here. We got blue up top, white in the middle, black at the bottom. And it just says at the very top right there, it just says plastic eraser, all in English, in white on that blue background. Then it just says mono in very bold black text under that in the white background. And then on the black background, we just get the Tombow dragonfly logo, and then it just says Tombow right there. And we can see that these erasers can also be sold individually as well, because there's the barcode right here. And then we can also see that there's stuff on how to throw away the different packaging for the erasers and whatnot. So I guess this is like how to throw away the eraser, and then this is maybe like how to throw away the cardboard or something like that kind of thing. I'm not exactly sure, but it does say how to throw away everything in Japanese. I don't know exactly what all that means, but it means something, I am sure. On the other side, we can see we get pretty much the exact same design as we got right here, except there's some text to the side. It just says PE-01A. Maybe that's the product code for this for individual sale. Not exactly sure. And then on the other side right here, it just says made in Japan, and we get a bunch of text in Japanese, and honestly, I really don't know what any of that means. And that's pretty much all that's going on look-wise for the sleeve itself. The eraser itself is pretty basic. It's just a white plastic eraser. Nothing particularly special by any means. Pretty normal stuff, just a rectangle, nothing particularly special. Well, let's go ahead and get the eraser back in the sleeve now, and let's go ahead and grab my sketchbook in just a moment. But how is this eraser quality-wise? You know, it's pretty good. A little bit bendable, not falling apart by any means. Very nice and squeezable. Kind of a nice sort of stress toy or something like that kind of thing, maybe. Or maybe a nice sort of fidget toy that you can just kind of press your fingers into and whatnot kind of thing. Although, definitely don't want to erase onto your arm because that will cause you to bleed. Do not do that, y'all. Do not do that. But let's go and put that back. Overall, quality-wise, the eraser is pretty good, and overall, look-wise, the eraser is not bad at all. It does leave a little bit of a film on your fingers, though, I will acknowledge. So this is definitely an eraser I would much rather use with the sleeve on than with the sleeve off, just because the plastic, it's kind of glossy, and it kind of leaves just a little bit of a film on your fingers. I definitely have to say, just a little bit of eraser dust on your fingers that is invisible. Yeah, I'd much rather use this with the sleeve on, in all honesty, but, meh. If I had to use it with the sleeve off, it wouldn't be a big deal by any means. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and grab my sketchbook, which is my Soho Urban Artist sketchbook. And now let's go and get it opened up to the nearest open page, if I possibly can. And now that I'm on the nearest open page, just go and flip it over just like that. And let's go ahead and draw myself a little bit of a fish to erase with my Tombow Mono erasers, or just eraser. I think I'm just going to be using one of them today, I will acknowledge. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to drawing the fish. And I think I'm going to go and start with the jaw, just like that. Just going to have a little bit of a small jaw. And I'm going to be drawing this fish to fruition. I'm not going to cut corners just because I'm going to be erasing it. Excuse me. Although now that I'm saying that, I'm kind of like, maybe I will cut corners. I'm just going to go and do another layer now, just to kind of darken everything up, make it look a little bit more official. But I'm not going to be super neat by any means. Maybe this is my way of cutting corners. In fact, actually, it is my way of cutting corners, because normally I would do sort of like back and forth. But that takes a while. And I don't really feel like spending that long on this drawing, which I am just simply going to erase to test this eraser. But I do want it to be more done than not, just simply because we need different line densities to test how good or how bad the eraser really is. Alright, well, I think that's pretty much all there was to the fish that I wanted to draw. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and start erasing with my Tombow Mono Plastic Eraser, and let's go ahead and find out just how good or just how bad this eraser really is, and what the ergonomics of it are like when you're using it as well. I'm just going to be holding it like this, and I think this is probably the optimal position to hold it in, but I'm not exactly sure. Let's go ahead and get to erasing though, or maybe holding it like this just a little bit. And so far, wow, that's pretty good. That's doing a pretty good job so far. That's just taking the stuff right away, just like that. A little bit of eraser dust, not too much though. Okay, there's a decent amount of eraser dust, but the eraser itself is not getting like super dark. There's some erasers out there which get like really dark when you don't even barely use any, or erase like a lot of graphite. But it is definitely working pretty good. This definitely struggles a bit with like the really dark lines, but what eraser doesn't, in all honesty? But no, it's taking them right up. It's taking all the lines right up just like that kind of thing. It doesn't smear the graphite too much by any means. Maybe a little bit, but not much. Definitely better than a lot of like cheaper erasers available in my local area. And it definitely works best when you have a sharp corner on the eraser. Just using it flat, just like that. It might not work quite as well, but it still works pretty well. And we can see there is a little bit of smearing right there where it does smear the graphite. So it doesn't really smear the graphite particularly much when you're doing it on a corner, or when it's a lighter sort of level of graphite than not. But when it's a heavy level of graphite and you're trying to erase, it definitely does smear just a little bit. But it picks it right back up and you don't really notice the smear after you're done erasing. We can see the eraser itself as well is definitely being used a little bit more so than not. This eraser is not the firmest by any means, and so I was not expecting it to like stay super, what's the right way of putting it? I was not expecting the eraser to be perfectly fine after I was done with this drawing by any means. And it's definitely gotten a bit used, and we can definitely tell that it's gotten a bit used, that is for sure. Overall, how does this eraser work? Did it erase the fish that I drew today a little bit better than not? I'd have to say that it did. I'd have to say that it did. This is definitely a better eraser than most cheap ones available, like at Walmart or at Target or something like that kind of thing, like the cheapy pink erasers that everybody had in school. This is definitely a lot better than that. I'll be frank with y'all. Those erasers most of the time absolutely suck. Most of the time, the erasers on the back of pencils like this one right here absolutely suck. This is a lot better than the pink erasers like this one right here. I'm like, this works, but it's not very good. This works a lot better than that. For being something that is, I'll be frank, I'm pretty sure the market for this eraser is not artists. I'm pretty sure it's school children in Japan or something like that kind of thing, or just people who are just writing with a pencil and are just needing to erase stuff every once in a while. It's not meant for drawing or erasing drawings or anything like that kind of thing. It's not an artist's eraser by any means. But for being just a normal eraser, you know, this is pretty dang good. It's definitely not as reusable as something like, let's say, a foldable artist eraser by any means, but you know, I mean, like, it works. On the eraser itself, we're not really getting too much dark area. Some erasers that are sold near me get really, really, really dark, and then it just smears the graphite everywhere. Not really the case with this one. This one does smear just a little bit, especially when you've got like a really dark line and whatnot kind of thing, but you know, it works pretty good. Overall, you know, do I like this eraser? You know, this is a pretty good eraser. This is not bad. Would I much rather use this eraser over a mechanical eraser? I'll be frank, not really, just because I prefer mechanical erasers, but for erasing for erasing large scale drawings such as this one I do think is optimal. This eraser is optimal. Most of the time I use, as a mechanical eraser, my Tombow MONO 3.8. Which I bought in Japan and which I love very dearly. It's a great, great, great eraser that I am a huge fan of. And this is what I use most of the time. It's probably the exact same eraser on the inside, in all honesty. But, yeah, this is not very good for erasing, like, large-scale drawings, like this one right here, frankly put. But for erasing, like, small details, this is really good. But if I wanted to erase, like, large-scale areas, like an entire drawing, let's say, this is definitely the eraser I would use, and this is definitely more to my preference than the vast majority of just average sort of erasers in my local area. And one thing I do really like about the eraser dust as well, usually I'm not very positive about eraser dust. I don't like eraser dust, but this is not so bad because it comes off in very large bits and whatnot, so you don't get like tons of, like, there are some small pieces, don't get me wrong, but it's not like dusty like some erasers are. They kind of come off in bigger bits, which is something I do appreciate. Overall, you know, the Tombow Mono Plastic Erasers, you know, they're not bad. They're pretty solid erasers for erasing large-scale things. It's a bit small for my hands personally, but, you know, it's not a big deal by any means, and it's not uncomfortable to hold for the length of time that I took to erase this drawing right here. Unless you're erasing literally an entire 6x6 canvas filled to the brim with graphite drawings, I don't think you're going to have any problems holding this eraser by any means. I don't think it's going to get uncomfortable unless you have Shaq-sized hands, frankly put. So if you're watching this video, Shaq, I do think this eraser might be a bit small for you. But, you know, overall, the Tombow Mono Plastic Eraser, not bad. Not bad. Erased a fish pretty well, if I do say so myself. It's not, like, perfectly gone. We can still see the outline of the fish just a little bit, but, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad, and this eraser did a better job than not, and definitely a better job than a lot of erasers would do, or a lot of erasers available in my local area would do. Let me just put it that way. You know, overall, would I use one of these erasers again? Yeah, I think I would. Would I buy one of the Tombow Mono Plastic Erasers again? If I ran out of the two I have, I think I certainly would, in all honesty. What's the rating I want to give these erasers? You know, I'm thinking a solid 3 out of 4. A solid 3 out of 4. Very solid eraser. Very good eraser that does its job well, and, you know, is just pretty solid and not super expensive either. Not quite a 4 out of 4, just because it's not quite enough to my personal preference to be like, nah, this is like a 4 out of 4 for me. I love this mechanical eraser, but this is just not quite enough to my personal preference to be a 4 out of 4. But, you know, a 3 out of 4, definitely something I would buy again for sure. For context, my rating scale goes from a 1 to 4, with 1 being like, this is a terrible product, never buy this. A 2 being like, you know, this is okay, but like, it's not to my personal preference. I wouldn't buy it again. A 3 out of 4 is like, you know, this is pretty good, I'd buy it again, but it's not like the best thing ever. And a 4 out of 4 is like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. 4 out of 4 for me is like this eraser right here, Mono Knock 3.8 Tombow. Another eraser that would be on my rating scale as a 3 out of 4 would be like this one right here, which is a Pentel Tri-Eraser, which I really like, but it just doesn't work very well. You kind of have to pull it out yourself. So it's more of a drop eraser rather than being a true mechanical eraser, even though it's designed to be one. But since this doesn't really work as designed, it's a 3 out of 4. But I really like this eraser. No, it's 3 out of 4 in my personal opinion. It works very well. It doesn't smear too much, and you know, it just erases. It's an eraser, and it erases, and it does exactly what you want it to do. 3 out of 4 for the Tombow Mono Plastic Eraser. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this eraser. Do you guys have one of these erasers? Have you guys used one of these erasers before? Do you guys like this eraser right here? Have you guys ever experienced using one before? Let me know in the comments down below if you guys, what you guys think of this eraser. If you guys have used one before. If you guys haven't, let me know what you guys think of this eraser based off of this video today. Of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content if you guys have enjoyed watching this video. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. box, and my main channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. Thank you so much for watching my little bit of a review of this eraser right here. As said, make sure to like and subscribe. And until the next one, stay safe and peace and have a great one. Yes, sir, and I'm saying.